velocity measurement. So we are starting with angular velocity measurement, and in angular velocity we are starting with tachometer. Okay. Before starting with tachometer, I would like to explain you what do you mean by angular velocity. Okay. Can anyone let me know what do you mean by angular velocity? Anyone? What do you mean by angular velocity? Can anyone? Yeah.
Measurement of rotation.
Very nice. Measurement of rotation. Very nice. Or number of revolutions. Correct now?
Yes, sir.
What is the unit of angular velocity?
Radian per second.
Okay. Number of rotations, or you can even call it as number of revolutions. Okay. And this is actually measured in Bolo?
Radian per second.
Very nice.
Radian per second.
So this is the definition. Okay. So when we are going to measure anything with the help of some measuring instrument, we have to look into two things. First is time. If you can just look at this thing, this is nothing but time. Okay. Time period is very important. Okay. And another thing is radian, or if you are saying radian, then it is more like revolution. How many revolutions? Okay. So how many revolutions? This is one thing that you need to measure when you are using tachometer, and for what time period. Okay. So if you know these two things, you can actually measure angular velocity. Okay. So if I would like to define it for you, angular velocity is angular velocity measurement. So angular velocity measurement will be more like an instrument. I'm just putting it for you in short. An instrument. Angular velocity measurement के बारे में I'm saying. Okay. So an instrument which is used to measure angular velocity, okay, by registering, because it will try to read, okay, by registering total number of revolutions for total period of contact. I hope everyone agrees with this. This is a basic thing that I'm writing, okay? An instrument which is used to measure omega by registering total number of revolutions for total number of period will be called as angular velocity measurement instrument, measuring instrument, okay? Okay, now one more thing that you can define, if you want to define angular velocity measurement, you can define it by one means that it will be measuring, or it will be indicating the total value, okay, or average value of speed, okay, or rotary speed. It will either indicate the total value, okay. See, if it is total value of rotation, it will show, either it will show total value of rotation, and what you have to do, you have to divide this total value of rotation by total time, or it will directly indicate the average value of rotary speed for a period of contact. I hope everyone agrees with this. Is it okay? It will either indicate average value for the period of contact directly, or it will show the total rotations, okay, and we have to divide it by total, we have to divide it by time. Now, when you are saying you have to divide it by time, there should be some time counter, right? There should be some time counter, and what do we use for time counter? There will be some stopwatch. I'm just trying to disintegrate the topic for you, okay? So there will be some stopwatch, okay? If there is some embedded stopwatch, and suppose this is my counter, this will actually count, okay? This will actually count this. Suppose this is having very minute kind of this, you can say, displays, okay, or markings, okay. So this will actually count total counts. And suppose in this, if you have a stopwatch, okay, and if you can stop this stopwatch, or you can start this stopwatch, suppose it can be manual. This stopwatch can also work manually, and it can also work automatically. Which one will be suitable? Automatic or manual? Which one will be better? Which one will be better, automatic or manual stopwatch?
Manual.
Automatic
Manual.
yaar.
Automatic.
The time you suppose there is a shaft, automatic will be better. How can manual will be better? Suppose I'm just giving an example. Suppose this is my shaft, and this shaft is actually rotating. Okay, this shaft is rotating at an angular velocity omega, and I put my, suppose this is my tachometer. Okay, and suppose this is my tachometer probe, and I just put my tachometer probe. Suppose I'm putting it the probe here. You can see it in the front view. I'm just putting it in contact with this. Okay, so if just at the moment when I put this my tachometer in contact with this shaft, automatically the stopwatch should get activated. Because if I try to do it manually, there will be some error induced. Okay, so the best way is if we have something which is automatic, it can sense that the shaft is moving, or you can even say that my instrument is actually, that spindle of the instrument is also moving. Okay, or it is sensing something, like it is sensing, suppose it is sensing number of rotations like 1 2 3, whatever is the rotation like, okay, for a period of time. So if we can start the watch automatic, that will be very better. If there is automatic, the error will be less, right? And if it is manual, we can have human error. Okay, I hope everyone is getting what I'm trying to explain. Yeah, so we have got into the basics of this tachometer. Now I'll explain you. There are two types of, there are more than two types, but we will just go into two types, basic two types of tachometer. We are actually dealing with mechanical tachometer as of now. Okay, so when we are dealing with mechanical tachometer, okay, so mechanical tachometer are basically of two types: hand speed indicator, okay, and one more type I can say, if I remember, yeah, fly ball tachometer. Flyball tachometer is more interesting because it looks good. So we will start with flyball tachometer, how it works like flyball tachometer. I hope everyone is enjoying the lecture. If I am enjoying, I hope you will also enjoy. See, the way I am trying to write everything for you is because I feel like if this way I am writing, it will be more like a board kind of an experience rather than a PPT kind of experience. Because to explain you anything in animation, it's good, but if I am not able to find suitable videos due to the lockdown constraint also, okay, so that would, it would be better if I start with this kind of thing. Okay, this is the reason I'm taking it this way. So I will just take this thing for you. Rather than taking this thing, what I'll do, I'll start with this. Okay, this is my fly ball tachometer. Now, what is there in the flyball tachometer? If you try to understand this thing, I'll just list down all the components for you. Just give me a second. I will just list down all the components for you. This is my shaft. Okay, or you can say rotating shaft. Okay. Next, if you can see, these are arms. I hope everyone can see. So since these are pivoted, pivot is like, if you remember your elbow, if you have seen your elbow, that is also having a pivot. Okay. So if there is something which can move, okay, in 360 degree, so that is called as pivot, or in any, with respect to some constraint or with respect to less constraint. So it is actually called as pivoted arm. Okay, there are 4 pivoted arms if you can see. Okay, these pivoted arms are hinged if you can see. These are hinged here. It is hinged here. It is hinged here. So there are many points where the pivoted arms are hinged. Okay, now after this pivoted arm, this is my sleeve. Okay, and this is my collar. There are 2 collars. So there is a collar, there is a sleeve. Now if you can see, this pivoted arm is connected to the collar. Okay, and this collar is connected to the sleeve, and this sleeve is again connected to the collar. Now there is one more shaft. If you can see this, okay, there is one more shaft. Let this be shaft called as, if you can say, this is a shaft. You can say I am using this shaft just for what I can say. This is the shaft of the instrument, you can say, okay, of my tachometer. tachometer shaft, you can say. What is going to happen? You can see there is something here, which is, if you can see here, this is my mass, right? There is some mass attached here, and this pivot is also having some mass here. Okay, this is also having some, the place where it is pivoted, this is also having some mass here. So there is some mass. This is actually a pivot. You can say this is a hinge, but this is also having some mass. Okay, so there is some mass on this side, and there is some mass on this side, and there is some mass which is placed near the sleeve. Okay, now what will happen? As my shaft rotates, okay, at some angular velocity omega, now due to centrifugal force, one second, due to centrifugal force, if you can see, what happens in centrifugal force, can anyone let me know? What do you mean by centrifugal force? It is towards the center or away from the center?
Away from the center.
Okay, so whenever there is, if the shaft is rotating at some speed, this you can see this pivot arms. Okay, this pivot arms will also rotate, and there will be some centrifugal force. Okay, and this centrifugal force will take the mass that is attached to this pivoted arm. Okay, away from the center, away from the shaft. Okay, right? So when this you can see this mass is suppose this mass is moving in this direction, and this mass is moving in this direction. So if this mass is moving in this direction, what will happen? If you just look at this thing, okay, if you just look at this thing, this is actually hinged. I have already told you this is a hinge, this is also a hinge. So what will happen? This arm will move in the upward direction. I hope everyone can see. So when this arm moves in the upper direction, automatically what will happen? This collar will also move in the upper direction. When this collar will move in the upper direction, automatically there is some mass which is attached to this side. So when this is actually trying to move to this direction, okay, this direction, right hand side, okay, and if this collar is trying to move upward, there is some mass attached on this side, okay, and what this mass will try to do? This mass will try to balance. Like if this mass is trying to move to the left side, and this right side, and this mass is trying to move to the left side, this, what will this do? This mass that is attached to the sleeve, this will try to balance the system. Okay, this will try to balance the system, and this will not let the collar move. Okay, this will not let the collar move until and unless it can balance. Like suppose, what I'm saying, suppose I'm just telling you something. I'll just explain you. One second. Suppose mass at the sleeve is m, and the mass of the at the collar is m1 plus m2. Until and unless both, suppose this is greater, this is higher, so automatically this will not. If this is higher, there will be no collar movement. Okay, the collar movement will not be possible. But if m1 plus m2 is higher, what will happen? If m1 and m2 is higher, automatically the collar will move to the, you can say it will move in some direction. Okay, so if this is higher, automatically the collar will move. And when the collar moves, okay, you can see that this mass, when this collar moves, this mass is actually attached to a pointer. So this pointer will also move. Okay, and what we are trying to do, this pointer is attached in a radial way. Okay, this is pivoted here. So what will happen? This will try to move, and this will lead to deflection of this pointer. And suppose initially if it is here and if it is moving here, this can be actually calibrated in terms of angular speed. Okay, because this will actually indicate, this whatever is the angular moment, okay, whatever is the angular moment, okay, whatever is that value, this will actually indicate nothing but angular velocity. Okay, okay, so this is the way fly ball tachometer works. So this is one of the type of mechanical tachometer. I'll just move to the second type for you. If you can see this is very simple. You can just look at this pic right now. What is this? This is my, suppose this is my, you can say this is my dial gauge, right? You can see this is the pointer. Pointer. Okay. You can see this is the stopwatch. Stopwatch is used to measure time. Dial gauge will be measuring number of revolutions. And again, I am telling you the same thing. Stopwatch can be automatic or manual. This will be my spindle. Okay, this spindle will get in touch. This will get connected to the shaft. Okay, whose speed I want to measure. Okay, and this, suppose this is my shaft. This is my shaft. This is the front view of the shaft. You can see the circular portion. Suppose this is the spindle. If you can see, suppose this is my shaft, and here I will place my spindle in this way. Suppose this is my spindle. Okay, so whatever will be the rotation, whatever will be the rotation of this, I will have the same rotation for this spindle also. Okay, so this spindle will also rotate with the same angular velocity. Okay, I am just keeping my shaft here. Okay, so this is the front view of the shaft, and this is, you can see this is the side view of the shaft. Okay, so what I am saying, whenever the shaft moves, suppose if a shaft moves, automatically this spindle will also rotate, and this will be measured as soon as the spindle comes in contact with the shaft. Automatically, whatever is the number of rotations of the spindle, this will, suppose this is initially at this position 0, and this moves to this position, and this is highly calibrated, and this is actually at a very minute scale. This can also be read digitally. Okay, this counters whatever is the counting. Rather than using this, rather than using this scale, we can even read this digitally, and digitally will be more feasible. Okay, so I'm just showing you what is like counter scale. So there will be some counter scale. Suppose there is some deflection. So if this is the deflection, this will indicate, this deflection will indicate number of revolutions. And as soon as the shaft, as soon as the spindle is not in contact with the shaft, okay, if it is not in contact with the shaft, automatically my stopwatch will stop. Okay, and I can, stopwatch will stop, and I can see the time for which it was in, the period for which it was in contact with the spindle, sorry, with the shaft. So if I know number of revolutions, okay, and if I know the time, okay, so automatically what I can find is number of revolutions can be converted into radian. That is not an issue. Okay, so number of revolutions per unit time will automatically give me angular velocity in radian per second. Done. So this is more like, this is more like, this is called as hand speed indicator. This diagram that we have seen is called as hand speed indicator. Okay.